Welcome back, everybody. Clearwater Jazz Holidays, Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions. Brandon Robertson, how are you for a Friday?
I am doing fantastic, feeling blessed. I'm happy to be here. Thank y'all for having me back again.
Oh, man, it's just so good to have you as part of these sessions. You've done some awesome ones. I was looking down at the list. For those of you who are new to these sessions, after the live sessions, they get the archive videos get posted in the studio in our website. Brandon's done a bunch of awesome ones. I was looking here. Here's a few of the ones that you can find there. Where do I begin as a professional musician? Breathe, relax, focus, simple tools during a performance. Raise the bar, preparing for performance. How to develop melodic bass lines. Tempos and styles, how to develop endurance during a performance. Thinking like a horn player from a bass perspective. How to capture a big sound. Playing duo performances. Creating new music composition and charts. And now today, Brandon is back with a topic, accompanying a vocalist. So a lot of great stuff there. Also some really, really awesome educators and musicians been doing these. So check out www.clearwaterjazz.com, the education and outreach section. And if you like listening, we've got a podcast that's well over 2,000 plays now. Which anywhere you stream your podcast, really just search Young Lions Jazz Master Virtual Sessions, and you'll be able to listen to these sessions and some other educational programs Jazz Holiday does. Those resources are brought to you by Steward Partners, the studio section, Blue Water Wealth Management at Steward Partners, and then the podcast by Marine Max Clearwater. So let me tell you a little bit about Brandon. We're going to jump right into this topic today. Brandon is an Emmy-nominated music director, professional upright electric bassist, composer, music educator originally from Tampa. He completed his Bachelor of Arts in Music from Florida State University and a Master of Music and Jazz Studies in the spring of 2016. Currently, Brandon is the Director of Jazz Studies and the director of the FGCU basketball band at Florida Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers. In 2018, Brandon was nominated for an Emmy Award for Best Documentary for Educational Collegiate Programs featuring the FGCU Jazz Ensemble. As a prominent band leader, Brandon has taken his band on multiple national tours, headlining at some of the top jazz venues in the country, and he's also performed with a lot of notable acts, such as the world-famous Count Basie Orchestra, led by director Scotty Barnhart. And by the way, we just had an amazing first session, virtual session with Scotty, and we got another one coming up. So please check those out in the studio. Brandon's also performed with Carmen Bradford, Jason Marsalis, Marcus Roberts, Marty Morell, Wycliffe Gordon, who has also recently done a session with us. Brandon has been featured as a performer and band leader at various national jazz festivals as well. And you've got to check out his first debut album released in the fall of 2019, based on a true story, BASS''D. It's amazing. And that reached all the way to number 16 on the iTunes Top 200 release. Brandon Robertson, welcome back, my friend. The stage is all yours.
First of all, thank you to the Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation for having me for this morning's session. Also to the Al Downing Tampa Bay Jazz Association, thank you all for having me as well. I'm very looking forward to today's session. It's a topic that I've actually discussed quite often with my current vocal students here at the school. FGCU is where I teach, and I actually have been in various situations when I've had to deal with vocalists. I've been in situations where I've performed with vocalists that had no clue what they were doing. I've performed with vocalists who were super demanding, and not only did they know what they were doing, they knew exactly to the T what they wanted. And then I've been in situations where I've dealt with vocalists who were extraordinary performers, but lacked the theoretical side of things when it came to explaining what they wanted with rhythm section players. So for today's session, I just want to talk about, from a rhythm section's perspective, what is it that we do, and how do we accompany vocalists? Okay. I actually had the pleasure and the wonderful opportunity to perform with a wonderful, world-renowned jazz vocalist. Her name is Carmen Bradford. And what I learned from working with Carmen is she not only is one of the most gifted and brilliant and talented singers I have ever worked with, but she has so much control and so much demand on her show and what she wants that it makes my job a little easier because I know exactly what to give her, okay? So one of the first pointers and the topics that I want to cover today is, how do you play behind a vocalist? So me being a bass player, the one thing that vocalists always tell me is that they love bass players. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm a bass player. So don't think I'm just throwing that out there because it's like, oh, you play bass, so, you know, you're just going to say that. Well, this is what has been relayed back to me. And most singers say we like the bass because we can hear the root motion of the chords. And usually when vocalists are singing, they're singing the melody. So by having the melody on the top or having the bass notes, that bass line under you, it kind of gives the singer a grounded balance of, okay, does my melody lines clash with whatever's happening in the bass? And so for me, I try to make sure that I play very minimalistically. And what I mean by that is I play as simple as possible. I still give the singer what they need, you know, harmonically from the bass perspective. But what I do is I also make sure that I play as simple as possible. I don't try to play in a way where I'm, you know, doing a bunch of notes. I'm playing a bunch of eighth notes and doing all this stuff. What we say is playing really busy behind the vocalist. I try to play very simple. So then that way the vocalist understands that I know what's going on and what you're doing. I'm listening to you. I'm very attentive to what you're doing, and I'm not getting in your way. So my first pointer is, for rhythm section players, if you're a bass player, if you're a pianist, you don't want to mask up the melody line. So piano players, when you're comping behind a vocalist, play very light rhythms, okay? Don't try to do anything that's very strenuous and very busy. And the same with the bass players. You don't need to play a bunch of triplets. You don't need to play a bunch of, you know, crazy harmony bass lines. You're just holding it down, okay? You're just simply holding it down. So the second point that I want to refer to when you're accompanying a vocalist is you need to listen. All right. Singers are using their voice. That's their instrument. They're using their voice to kind of center where their pitch is. So you really need to listen to what's happening. If a singer starts singing something of a different phrase, even like they might take a melody line and bend the phrase a little bit or sing behind the beat. It's your job to make sure that you are locked in and you're not disrupting or changing anything that's happening. You don't want the singer to feel as though there's a disruption in the flow of the song. So make sure you are intuitively listening to what's happening around you and specifically listening to what the singer is doing. Now, one common mistake, and I made this mistake a lot when I was starting off, you know, in my music career, is I would try to almost predict what the singer was going to do, and I would try to anticipate it. So give you an example. If a singer was going to come up to the bridge, I might start hinting or suggesting the melody line in my bass line going into it. And I've had a lot of singers tell me, please don't do that, because what happens is if they're singing and then they hear somebody else play the melody, it might throw them off, which is what was happening with certain vocalists I was working with. I would do things like that, and then it would completely throw them off. And then they'll tell me afterwards, like, hey, we don't like that. Please don't do that again. So don't do anything that's going to make the singer do this. When you get that turnaround, that's bad. You don't want the turnaround, okay? So point number one is you want to make sure that you're playing very simple, so you're just giving them the fine grounding that they need. And then secondly, listening, being very aware of your surroundings, okay? So my third point is when you're playing with a singer, it's very important that you are very, very you're very attuned to the actual chart. Like, you know the piece well in and out, that if something did happen on the singer's end, which this has happened before, okay? If this has happened before, you need to play in a way where you can help the singer get back on track, okay? Whether that's in the piano part, that you maybe play the melody line to some degree to where the singer can say, oh, okay, I know where I'm at. Or in the bass part, you start playing the root motion, just doubling the roots of the chords, so then the singer can kind of hear harmonically where they are in the chart. I've had a lot of singers tell me that if they say, if I get lost somehow, can you just play the roots, just only play the roots, because then they can hear the bass motion moving. Or the piano part, they'll tell the piano player to maybe outline the melody some, so that way the singer knows where they are. And it happens, they might be singing really into it and they just might lose their place. It's happened before. I've played with singers, really great singers, who completely forgot the lyrics and just started making up their own lyrics. And the band's looking at the singer like, something don't sound right. But we can't change anything. We can't stop playing. We can't, fix it. We have to adjust. So my fourth point is, aside from being aware of being able to change and fix something on the spot, my fourth point is you have to keep going. You can't stop. And the one thing that I've learned from playing with really great singers is that, like, if they mess up, you won't know they messed up. You won't have a clue. You won't have any idea that they messed up, because they know how to get themselves out of that situation. But let's say if you play with an inexperienced singer, or a singer who just lacks that kind of experience of just being able to fix it in the spot. Like I stated before, it's your responsibility to make sure that you can intuitively listen to what's going on and adjust. The whole point is that you want to make sure that you adjust yourself to what's happening in your surroundings, okay? Another topic, or another point that I want to mention too, which will be, I guess, point number 5. When you're accompanying a singer, try to make the music feel as good as possible. I had an opportunity to play with Juno Award winner Lila Bialy. She won the Juno Award last year for Best Vocal Jazz Album. She is an amazing singer. And not only is she an amazing singer, she is an incredible band leader. So I had a chance to do a mini tour with her here in Florida, and she's from Canada. So when she called me, Lila sent me an email. She sent me all of her music. All of the charts were super easy to read. All of her music had notes, so she had specific notes about each part and what we needed to do on our end, which was incredibly helpful in terms of, like, when you're practicing, you know exactly what to practice on. She sent me audio MP3 files of her music, so I had a chance to listen to the charts and actually play along with her recordings. So when I showed up to sound check on our first show, me and the other drummer, and she's a pianist, by the way, as well. She plays piano, so she can sing and play piano. And we showed up, and the entire sound check went very smooth because we did our homework. And so what I learned from Lila is the more prepared you are, the more information you're able to provide to the band, the easier it becomes when you show up on the day of the gig. And mind you, the point that I didn't mention about with Lila is that Lila, myself, and the drummer that played with us had never played with each other. All three of us had played with each other for the very first time during that tour. I did not know the two of them, and they didn't know me. But the fact that we all three showed up and we were able to play the music exactly how she recorded it, how she wrote it, she mentioned to me, and the one thing she said to me was, she says, I really respect musicians who do their homework. Thank you very much for doing your homework. And she hired me every single time she came back to Florida. I was the bass player that she hired because I did my homework. So my next point is, if you're a rhythm section player or if you're a horn player that's accompanying a vocalist, do your homework. If the vocalist gives you a set list, and let's say she gives you let's say that, gives you a set list, and they don't give you anything else other than just the set list. And let's say if it's a bunch of jazz standards, it's not like any of their original music, it's standards. Then it's your responsibility to go up, find the music, listen to the charts, listen to the songs, play along with the charts, do your homework. Give yourself as much information as needed. So therefore, when you show up to the gig and you're performing with a vocalist who you've never performed with before, you have taken care of everything that's going to make you have the best performance and have the best representation for that artist. Okay, that's how you get the call back. That's how you get called back for gigs, is when you're prepared. So my very last point is, you want to make sure that when you're working with a vocalist, ask questions. I'll give you three scenarios. Scenario number one, when I was in college, on an undergrad, I played with this wonderful singer. Her name was Avis Berry. She still lives there in Tallahassee now. And she's also the vocalist that's on my album. And Avis, who to me was one of those singers who had such an incredible ear that you could never play out of tune around her. She would literally turn around and sing your note to you. That's how strong her ear was. And she would always tell us, she's like, if you really want to get hired by singers, you have to play in tune. So my last point is making sure, that you do your homework, play in tune. When you guys are performing with singers, don't play out of tune, okay? And that's one thing that I learned from Avis, is that I have to make sure that I'm in tune the whole time. Also, when you're performing with, when you're backing up with a singer, make sure that you ask the right questions, okay? Ask, what key are we playing these songs in? Because I've been in a situation with vocalists who they only gave me a set list, but they didn't give me the keys that they sing these songs in. So that already is ambiguous for the musician, because we don't know what key you sing in. So this is actually, this point is for vocalists who will be watching this. So any vocalist, if you want to have a strong band back you up, please make sure you provide the key signatures to the songs that you perform in. So we know that whenever we're shedding on your music or whatever songs that you select, that we are actually going to play the correct key and play in the right key. Because I've been on gigs where the singer never told us what key they're in, and we just learned the song in the key that it normally played in, and then the singer starts singing and we're like, oh my God, they're not singing in that key. And that's not to say that they're wrong. They just didn't inform us that they weren't singing in the original key. And so, vocalists, if you don't have a band if you don't have a strong rhythm section player who actually knows how to transpose on a spot, please make sure you give them the key signatures, okay? Also, if you have a specific arrangement of a song you'd like to do, this is to vocalists, please make sure you can provide a recording, and or if there is a lead sheet of that arrangement, if you're able to provide that information to the instrumentalist, that will be very helpful. Because then if we have to, let's say, play this by memory, we are playing the exact arrangement that you were looking for us to do, that you were requesting, and that we are not doing anything that's the total opposite. Okay, so if there's a specific arrangement, please make sure that you provide the correct arrangement and or the correct recording of the tunes that you want to do, and also provide recordings of MP3s of the songs that you like for us to perform with you. Okay, and then lastly, this is to instrumentalists. Your job is to make the vocalist sound great. Whether or not that vocalist is prepared or not, your job is to make them sound like $1 trillion. So you have no say-so when it comes to whatever that vocalist decides that he or she wants to do. If they're paying you to accompany them, your job is to accompany them. Your job is not to sit there and dictate and tell them what to do on their show. Even if you totally disagree and do not like or enjoy what you're doing. And I'm just being blunt about this because this is a reality. Your job is not to sit there and tell them what they can and can't do. Your job is to back them up. So you want to make sure that you are smiling, that you are professional, and that you just adapt to whatever happens right there on the spot. Trust me, I have been in too many situations with vocalists where it went fantastic, it went horrible, and then it was just like, God help us. However, all three of those scenarios that I've been in with those vocalists, there was one common thing that did come out of that. And that was that I was always prepared for any situation. So you have to be prepared for any situation, and you have to stay calm. Let's say if the vocalist gets lost and they start singing in the wrong spot, or the vocalist is not singing the right key, then you just have to stay calm and adapt. Sometimes a vocalist might skip a whole verse and just jump to the last verse to end the song. You just got to go along with it. That's what happens. Okay. So in real time, you just want to make sure that you are always being attentive to your surroundings and you're always listening. And so that's all I have for today. And I hope this was a very helpful video for you all to be looking back on later on.
Yeah. Brandon Robertson, thank you so much, man. Appreciate everything. What are you going to do for the rest of the weekend?
Sleep.
I'm right there with you.
I have gotten no sleep all week. I am tired. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, man. No, I'm right there with you, and I hope you get some good, well-needed rest. Thanks for making these sessions
Thank you.
as special as you do, helping us build this resource, creating access to education, and getting these materials in the hands of students of all ages. We really appreciate it. And for those listening today and watching or listening in the future, on behalf of the Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation, all our partners, supporters, participating musicians, including Brandon Robertson, we thank you. And Brandon, we thank you, man. We'll look to see you real soon.
Yes, sir. And thank you guys again to the Clearwater Jazz Holiday Foundation, to the Al Downing Tampa Bay Jazz Association. Thank you guys again for a wonderful session, for always putting the youth first and their education and their future. So we, the music community, greatly appreciate that.
Awesome. All right, man. Have a wonderful one. And everybody stay safe out there. Be well. Keep playing. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.